What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. And you know, this particular article right here, talking about the 10 signs that the MCU is dying, it came out in December of last year. I never really covered it because I always had it in the back of my mind that I would return to it in the event that Phase 5 started off falling flat on its face, right? Just a complete, just whimper, right? Just a dud right out of the gate. And here we are. Because honestly, let's face it, man, like after Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm sure a lot of you guys have been hearing this same conversation coming along, right? Oh, the MCU has lost its magic, okay? Oh man, is the MCU on its last legs, okay? I've been listening to a whole lot of takes from a whole lot of different people, and they're basically asking the same question. So, is the MCU dead? I'm gonna say no. I don't think it's dead, all right? Is the MCU on life support? Not yet. I think it's close though, okay? I think it's really close. It's almost like it's been in a bad accident, right? You know, if you go in an accident and, you know, you got the folks waiting in the waiting room to get the prognosis, they want to see how bad it is. That's kind of where we're at with the MCU. And the prognosis so far isn't very good for where this thing is at. There's a lot of reasons why the MCU is in the position that it's in. And this article kind of covers some of those reasons. I think the biggest problem is the writing. And that's directly connected to something that you guys constantly hear me talking about, which is putting the messaging and the agenda ahead of the entertainment, all right? The sermonizing of the content. It's getting to be a bit too much, okay? It even had some of that crap in this last Ant-Man 3 movie. They got to knock that crap off. That's one of the biggest issues. But aside from that, okay, aside from the politics and from the social messaging and the DEI and the ESG and all of that shit, right? All of that stuff is absolutely killing it. But I think I'm going to keep this about mostly the nuts and the bolts of a cinematic universe. And the reason is because in my opinion, even if you didn't have all of that agenda and messaging working against you, I think a cinematic universe, at least in the way that Marvel has set it up, would be kind of difficult to sustain for a long period of time. So let me go ahead and get into this. So the 10 signs that the MCU is dying, I'm not going to cover all of these. I'm just going to cover a couple of points. But right off the bat, it kind of mentions one thing right here as it's talking about how Phase 5 was approaching and blah, blah, blah. It says here, certain things like the audience's reception to recent projects or the lack of creativity in new films might be clear signs that the MCU has already peaked. Like the lack of creativity is a major issue. And I think that Phase 4 has really dispelled this myth that I think Marvel had, that you could just give random directors and random writers a random Marvel character to adapt and it's going to be good. People would love it and come begging for more, all right? Folks kept saying, you remember, I know you guys have had these conversations where people were like, well, you know, nobody ever heard of Guardians of the Galaxy and everybody loves that movie. Yeah, but that was James Gunn, okay? James Gunn is a unique talent, all right? James Gunn doesn't suffer from a lack of creativity in his films. And I mean, you can be upset all you want to about how he handled the Henry Cavill situation. Hell, I'm upset about it, all right? But I recognize that this man has talent. So you just can't just drag, oh, Chloe Zhao, come on over here and direct a Marvel movie. We'll call it Eternals. We'll throw a bunch of characters that nobody's ever really cared about at all in the MCU, okay? We'll just throw those guys out there and let's see what you can do with it, okay? It takes specific people and specific talent to make that kind of stuff work. Somebody that has a vision, somebody that understands I'm not just going to be directing some script, okay? I'm actually going to be taking some of my talent, my creativity of what I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe should be or what this story or where these characters should be, and I'm going to shape that into my own narrative. That did not happen in Phase 4, okay? With maybe the exception of She-Hulk, but that went in the absolute wrong direction, okay? They took a character that most people were kind of interested in, and they absolutely destroyed it and insulted the fans while they were at it. But like I said, for this particular article, it does cover some of the points. Now, one of the points it brings up, most franchises lose their audience within a few years. And here's the word you got to understand, which is audience, all right? Like most of you guys are probably like me, you're geeks and nerds, you loved comic books and sci-fi your whole life. You know, you've been watching cartoons and kind of genre type stuff. You've been doing that your whole life, okay? And that's kind of the core base of, you know, the comic universe and science fiction, fantasy. That's like the core there, okay? But you don't make back-to-back $2 billion films unless you get the attention of the general audience, okay? And when I'm talking about the general audience, I'm talking about the normies, okay? That's what I mean. That's who Marvel is losing. They can't keep these guys attached to this stuff. Again, it's back to the writing, all right? They're not creative, and they're not writing interesting stories, all right? So the normies have fled, okay? They're like, hey, man, I'm out of here. I'm done, okay? You know, no reason to keep me around, you guys. And here's the thing, and this is the thing I think that a lot of people are missing, is that these cats, if they ever come back at all, they're just going to wait until the next big event film, okay? They're going to get Disney Plus and just play catch up, okay? Borrow somebody's account maybe or whatever, all right? But they're just going to get caught up and just watch everything in a couple of months right up to the next big Avengers film, Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars, whatever, okay? That's what they're going to do because nobody has time to keep up with 18 projects in a year and a half, all right? People got other stuff that they want to watch, other things that they got to do in their life. All right. They can play catch up. You know what? Hey, what do I need to watch? You know, you probably had a lot of your friends ask you, hey, man, what do I need to watch to get caught up before I watch Infinity War or before I watch Endgame? Okay. A lot of your friends was asking that. A lot of my friends was asking that. Okay. Same kind of deal. The general audience, the audience that is not going to these movies right now, they're just going to play catch up when the time comes. And another thing you got to consider is that a lot of fans liked this guy right here. Okay. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man. They liked the character, right? They liked his wit. They liked his charm, along with like his character arc, you know, how he was growing as a human being. They liked that particular story. It's funny because I think it's becoming more and more evident what Robert Downey Jr. meant to this franchise. As you guys know, there was a ton of speculation about Robert Downey Jr. returning, but this just put the kibosh on that. Marvel exec says Robert Downey Jr. no longer on the table amid return speculation. Yeah, because you know, a lot of people are like, well, you know, I'm not really into this thing. If Iron Man, if this guy right here isn't in it, I don't really know anything about the rest of these characters. You know, I like Robert Downey Jr. as an actor. I like this character of Tony Stark. You know, he was kind of smug and brash, but he was intelligent and he, you know, was able to think quick and solve problems and stuff like that. I like this kind of a character. And they're going to try to make Ironheart into that kind of character. That's not going to work. Okay. That's not going to work whatsoever. All right. So missing this character, you know, when this guy left, a lot of fans left right with him, right? They were right out the door behind him. And that was another point, right? Some fans jumped ship after phase 3 ended, right? Endgame was the end, right? Turn out the lights, the party's over, okay? That's where a lot of people took it. As it says here, it is impossible to deny that the MCU hasn't been the same since Avengers Endgame. On the internet, fans have been very vocal about their lack of interest in the MCU's future. Nobody cares, all right? Nobody cares, you know? That was it. That was it. It's a wrap, okay? And again, it mentions, you know, the poor writing, the radical change of cast, or Robert Downey Jr. not in it anymore, you know? So when you have those kind of factors playing into it, yeah, the MCU is going to look dead because people aren't really interested in it. Nobody's talking about it on the internet. Nobody's buzzing about it. It's just flat. And this was another very, very important point. Those same fans already know what's coming, okay? And they're talking about really like the cinematic universe model that Marvel created, okay? You had the post-credit scenes, you had the Easter eggs, you had the crossovers. You know, it led to an epic conclusion in Avengers Endgame. This innovative narrative surprised fans. However, it can't be done twice. Fans already understand the structure of Marvel projects, so it's become predictable. The MCU needs to evolve or it won't survive longer than the multiverse saga so far. It has added series and specials, but fans need novelty and innovation. This thing is very novel, okay? The cinematic universe, when it hit the scene in 2008, people hadn't seen anything like this before. Iron Man in that post-credit scene hit everybody like a bolt of lightning, okay? Nobody was like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up, what's this? What's going on here? And then remember, Hulk came out that following summer, later on in that summer, and everybody was like, oh, shoot, and there's another post-credit scene going on right here. Wait, these are connected? Oh, hell yeah. All right. And the cinematic universe was born. However, unfortunately, right now, the novelty, as it says, of a shared universe, that's in the rearview mirror, okay? It's a wrap. That thing has already been there, done that, okay? And the best Marvel stuff that we got is right there in the rearview mirror with it, okay? Looking forward, it's like, what are we looking at? What's going on? Phase 4 did absolutely nothing for the MCU. Nothing at all. All it did was make people tune it out. And here's another point that I wanted to bring up when it comes to guys like Robert Downey Jr., okay? You can't just reboot and start over once these stars kind of age out, okay? Like, stars age out eventually. You know, they get old, right? Robert Downey Jr. is pushing 60 right now. I think he's like 57 or 58, all right? The guy's getting up there. And if you haven't noticed, hey, he looks a whole lot different than he did when he was playing Iron Man, right? Okay? They're calling him iron deficiency man because he went on a vegan diet, right? You know, he went on a vegan diet. Now, I'm sure with all the right diet and workout programs, you know, hair and makeup and all of those guys, they could probably make it work if he wanted to come back and go through all of that. But does he want to go through all of that? Or does he want to say, you know what? I don't even want to play Iron Man no more. I'm off to something new, something different. Yeah, money talks. I get it. But, you know, this guy has clearly changed a lot about who he is, his look and everything. I don't know if this guy is really interested in going back to play this role again. But that's kind of the thing. Like, the cinematic universe model just doesn't allow you to pull the plug and start over in the middle, you know, if something ain't working, right? Like, think about it like the Tim Burton Batman universe, right? Like, once that thing reached its limit, once it jumped the shark and Batman and Robin, it's like, all right, this shit is just getting silly. We got to pull the plug. We're done here, okay? They were able to stop, let it rest for 8 years, and then come back with Chris Nolan, right? New Batman, new Jim Gordon, new Batmobile, new cast of characters, new everything, okay? They could just completely reinvent the series and the franchise, no problem. Because it's just Batman, okay? It's not Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and all these other characters that you got to blend into this thing, okay? And you can't just recast a younger guy because everybody's going to be like, wait a minute, that's not my Batman. That's somebody else's Batman. How are you just going to throw him in here? One of the big issues that the Tim Burton Batman had is they, you know, recast. All right, we're done, you know? People stopped liking this stuff, not to mention that it was just corny and silly, but people stopped liking it. You can do that with a single character in a single series, but it's hard to stop. Okay, this cinematic universe just kind of went off the rails. Let's stop. Let's let it wait for about 6-7 years, and then we'll refresh and we'll start over with a brand new Iron Man. That's not going to work, okay? When you have all of these various connected stories and everything, that's going to be very hard to pull off. And like I said, because these stars age out, eventually you're going to have to get used to new faces that once played these roles. You're going to have to get used to Ironheart. You're going to have to get used to Yelena playing Black Widow, right? You're going to have to get used to the Black Captain America. You're going to have to get used to that kind of stuff because unfortunately, that's the way the cinematic universe in film works. You need to have new blood to sustain the story, basically, is what I'm saying. And if Phase 4 has shown anything at all, is that you can't replace Iron Man. You cannot replace Captain America that easy. Some of these characters are pretty much irreplaceable. So let me return to the quote from the VP of production, Stephen Broussard, discussing how Phase 4 was about a new generation stepping to the forefront, right? And he says here, one of the meta-narratives of Phase 4 was about new characters. It was about new people stepping into mantles. If you look at, like, Cassie Lang and Quantumania getting a suit, Kate Bishop and Hawkeye, new characters being introduced like Jack and Werewolf by Night. After these first 10 years of Marvel storytelling, torches are being passed, like with Robert Downey Jr. no longer being on the table and stuff like that. So it was kind of like a new generation stepping to the forefront, which again has always happened in the comics. You know, this phrase always has happened in the comics, always bugs me because there's a lot of bad stuff in comics, okay? Not everything that was in the comics that's quote unquote canon is good. Okay, some of that stuff, like, we don't even talk about that stuff, you know, there's crap out there that we don't discuss. But his whole idea that a new generation stepping to the forefront doesn't always work, okay? I mean, at the end of the day, like, Spider-Man came out 60 years ago, that dude is still the most popular superhero in Marvel Comics, okay? Same with X-Men, all right? Came out back in the 60s, still the most popular runs and one of the most popular teams in comics. Nobody's checking for these new characters, all right? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, like all of these characters that have stood the test of time, that have always been staples in the comic book genre, all right? The idea of starting off a cinematic universe or continuing a cinematic universe without them is just absurd, all right? Nobody's checking for these other characters. Cassie Lang, all right? Kate Bishop, nobody's checking for Kate Bishop. The characters you want to see in the cinematic universe are Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the big names, okay? The A-list and the B-list characters. You're not looking for these C-list characters that they just came out with 10 years ago that nobody knows. They've never been built up. They're trying to build them up, okay? But at the end of the day, I don't think that crap is going to work, okay? I think most people are like, I'm not really feeling this character. Yeah, go and bring back Iron Man. You know, that's what they wanted, all right? Bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. We like that guy. You see, those are the characters that people want to see in their cinematic universe. And then once you've told that story for over 10 years and 20 plus movies or whatever it is, and then you finish the story, like, it's just like any comic run, okay? You would have to start over a new story, a new challenge, a new crisis, but you still got to use the same dudes. You got to use Iron Man. You got to use the original Avengers, Cap. You can add a couple of pieces here and there, okay? But people are mostly here for the big names, okay? Even the comic book fans are like, yo, man, where's Iron Man at, right? You know, we need that dude in there. Where's Spider-Man? Where's this guy? Where's that guy? All right? Got all of these other characters in here, but they are talking about the heavy hitters. You can bring those other smaller characters in. I'm not saying you can't, all right? But don't expect like the general audience to just embrace these guys, okay? You're going to have a real good talent like a James Gunn, get that shit off the ground, and there ain't a lot of James Gunns out there, you know what I'm saying? That's what my point is about the actors. Like, actors will age out, but these characters are like forever young because they're, you know, comic book characters, right? They're characters, all right? They're always going to be in their mid-30s or whatever. You know, that's just the way they are, all right? They're fictional characters. They don't age. So when they start a new run, it's not necessarily a continuation of the last one, right? Like, Superman has existed for, 80 years? Dude is still the same age. So is Lois Lane. Every time you come out with a new iteration, these cats are all the same age. So you can't just continue it. That's the problem with the cinematic universe, is that as you go on into your 15th year, which is where Marvel is at right now, a lot of these dudes that started this joint back in their early 40s are now in their late 50s. Yeah, like, these characters aren't aging in the comics, but the actors are, okay? You know? And yeah, again, look at Robert Downey Jr. Look at this dude, right? Yeah, again, you can throw some hair and makeup on him and make him up good or whatever, okay? But again, it makes you ask, how long is he willing to do that, all right? And can you get some new characters that you haven't launched to pass the torch to? All right, so the question is, what can Marvel do, right? All right, DA, you just got through telling us that Marvel ain't dead. So what is it that they could do to turn this ship around, all right? I think the first thing that they got to do is absolutely, and you know I'm going to say this, right? Stop the woke stuff and focus on entertainment first, okay? Entertainment first. Kevin Feige said we're entertainment first. Otherwise, the messaging doesn't work. Well, it hasn't been entertainment first at all, Kev, okay? You got to get this thing back to the entertainment. Honestly, that would be the most important thing that you can do, because your stories would stop suffering from that agenda first kind of writing that you keep throwing out there, okay? Keep throwing out agenda first, and people see through that, all right? Because the characters aren't written well, because you're forcing your agendas into it. Stuff doesn't come out clean and original and authentic. It comes out phony, all right? So you got to get rid of that. And I would also lower the damn budgets, okay? These $200 million films, you got to knock that crap off, all right? And the thing about it is, it's not so much from the money standpoint. It would actually force the writers and the directors to come up with a compelling storyline to fill up 2 hours with, instead of just stupid CGI battles, okay? These dumbass CGI battles ain't working out, okay? Nobody cares about them. It doesn't increase the tension. It doesn't make me like these characters or love these characters more, okay? You got to go back and dig deep into who these characters are and tell a actual story, all right? And if you limit their budget and say, hey, man, we giving you $100 million and that's all you're getting, all right? They know that, oh, shoot, what am I going to fill up this 2 hours with? Well, I better come up with a really good story, okay? And so when people, you know, watch this show, oh, shit, I hope they make it, man. Oh, damn, they look like they in trouble or whatever. Now we care. Because we didn't care about these characters when you were just throwing CGI in our faces. But one of the things Marvel does have in their back pocket is they do have a couple of ace cards to play yet. One of them is the Fantastic Four. And, you know, he was teasing the importance of the Fantastic Four. Yeah, it's going to be very, very important. All right. For a lot of reasons. Okay. This is an interesting one because nobody's ever gotten the Fantastic Four right. All right. You've seen a couple of series on it. Nobody's done it correctly. All right. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they bring the Fantastic Four in. This is a big card. If they can get the Fantastic Four working, Doctor Doom, of course, one of the greatest villains in comic book history, they can get this thing going, I think they're in good shape. The other one, obviously, is the X-Men, okay? I was saying from, like, the very beginning that the MCU had to hurry up and get these guys in, okay? Hurry up and get the X-Men. Hurry up and get Fantastic Four slated. I would have had them suckers somewhere in Phase 4, okay? I wouldn't have waited till Phase 5. I would have got them in there immediately. As soon as they got the rights from Fox, I would have jumped the guy. Hey, man, hey, let's go. We already had a script ready to go. We already knew who we wanted to be in this and all of that kind of crap. I would have had somebody working on the script while they were in negotiations with Fox, okay? So by the time this thing came over, all right, bam, we got it. Let's go, okay? Because this is huge, and this would have probably saved Phase 4. If this and Fantastic Four came through Phase 4, that probably would have been enough energy and hype to save this particular phase from being just a total nothing burger, which it was. But nevertheless, they came out with Shang-Chi and Eternals and Lady Thor. Nobody cared about that crap. I didn't understand that move at all. That was like the dumbest thing. Black Captain America. Oh, we got a Black Captain America now. Like, nobody cares, okay? Nobody cares about this crap. And in Phase 5, nobody cares about Echo. Nobody cares about Agatha. Nobody cares about the Marvels, okay? So the X-Men, Fantastic Four, they would have been in good shape right now. But they didn't. And I think now Feige understands the relevance of these big characters and how important they are, including Spider-Man. Now we got this headline. Spidey is basically going to be the lead of Kang Dynasty, okay? They know what they're doing. I think, again, these are cards that they have to play. Tom Holland has signed a massive new secret deal. I don't know what that is. With the general audience, Spider-Man is always going to be popular. People like this version of Spider-Man. I'm kind of 50-50 on them. You know, there's good and there's bad with this particular version of Spider-Man. But nevertheless, you know, people like them. And this is something that the MCU still has to play. All right, we got this card. We got the Spidey card to throw down on the deck so we can see where it goes. So again, that's the reason why I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't dead. They still have some stuff left. They still have gas in the tank. The question is, how are they going to bring all of this stuff out? That's really the question, okay? You can have all of these cards, and you can try to get rid of all of the woke and everything like that, and that possibly will turn things around a little bit, all right? But these movies still have to be good, okay? You have to find good writers, good directors to bring these things across the finish line. Right now, it's a big question mark as to whether Marvel can do that still, okay? But we'll have to see. But anyway, folks, what do you think about this situation with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Not quite dead, in my opinion. Like I said, I kind of laid out the reasons why I think that it was dying, but not quite dead yet, all right? And, you know, yeah, maybe it's in the emergency room right now. You know, maybe we're about to go down to ICU, you know, to see, all right, man, how you guys doing? You know, is he going to make it, Doc? You know, that's the conversation we're starting to have amongst each other. But what do you guys think about this situation? You go ahead, get down in the comments, give me your thoughts and your opinions on that, and thanks for watching. See you next time.